Hey guys. So yesterday was a very interesting day. I had a lot going on. My son actually, he broke his clavicle bone, his collarbone, cruising down a hill in our backyard with his brother on my garden wagon. So I kind of had to deal with a few things family-wise. There's a lot of stuff going on family-wise for me. But so I kind of haven't been, it's like I've been very doing things on the external, so I haven't been going within as much as I feel like I normally do, because I normally spend a lot of time alone in introspection, kind of just with myself in my own space. And I really had to share, there's extra people in my house and stuff, I've had to share my space, and it distracts me a little bit, it's kind of like how the Matrix distracts us from what would help us the most. And anyways, yesterday I finally did get, a moment to myself later in the afternoon, and a friend of mine had sent me a David Icke interview, and I hadn't seen any of his stuff in so long. I used to follow him all the time, but I really just, everybody's caught up in a lot of things right now. There's just a lot going on. It's like the universe is asking us to really stay focused and grounded. Where is that balance that we can find, with these, not being able to be present because we're distracted. So anyways, this was so sent to me from spirit. And I believe, anyways, as I was watching the interview, and I will link it below for you guys who want to watch it. I think it has half of the interview, and the other half you can subscribe to this guy. He has it's like a platform, and you can make an account for free and watch the rest of it. You just have to go back and click the actual link that he put below the video, or it'll be hard to find. Found that out, so I thought I'd tell you guys that. But anyways, while I was watching this, it was interesting because he was bringing up things in me and questions in me that I wasn't even thinking to ask, but I feel like they were there. They were sitting inside of me, waiting for me to recognize it. But I've been so distracted that I haven't even been thinking really too much on those terms. Yeah, I navigate my space trying to be patient and present and all that, but sometimes if we don't get quiet enough, if we don't get alone, if we don't get those moments, we don't have the epiphanies we need in order to expand more. So anyways, as I'm going along, I start just writing down everything that I'm thinking, questions that I have. I'm, thinking in my head, and then it's almost like spirit telepathically just, sees me questioning something and then is coming through with a response for me. And so as that was happening, I was just writing everything down, and I really felt compelled to share this because I think it's just going to trigger epiphanies and different things, just like, David did with me. It wasn't that I was sharing every single solitary, view that he had. I was like, yeah. You shouldn't be that way with anybody. We take everything with a grain of salt, and then we go within, and then we see if it resonates, right? And so that's kind of what I was doing throughout the process. But at the same time, he was really bringing clarity to some areas that I hadn't really gave much thought to lately. So it was it kind of made me get back into things, and that's why I'm sitting here making a video right now, because it had been 3 weeks or something, or maybe even more than that, and that I've kind of been distracted. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just a lot going on in the physical that I have to bring my attention to. I take care of a lot of people, that kind of thing. I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but I am appreciative of coming back into the space that I love to be in, and being present and noticing things that actually fucking matter, So anyways, I'm going to start, I'll read some, and then probably if I feel like sharing more and expressing more about it, I will. But for the most part, I just really want to share these things that came through. It wasn't just as I was watching that, because I wrote a page on as I was watching it, and then I have an additional page that has come through since then, and even in this morning. So here it goes. It says, the longer we can maintain a high frequency and act in loving service, the more likely that frequency will anchor in. So reincarnation will be into a new earth that is already a higher frequency of joy and sovereignty. That means we pass it down generationally, right? Generationally, our DNA is carrying the frequencies, elevating into higher dimensions and anchoring the time-space reality of the simulation of new earth that we project. We project that. And this weird thing used to happen to me, and I shared it in a video in the past when I was a kid. And it would be like, I would have this moment, I'd be playing outside, very present in nature, very connected. And then all I would do is think about if there was nothing. Like there was absolutely, it's like the void. I would think about the void and it would like bring goosebumps through my whole body and almost scare the shit out of me because it was like, what if there was nothing? And it was like in those moments I was recognizing that it is a simulation. You know, the whole thing is like us, you know, projecting it outward. And so right now, we were born into a generation that was projecting a lower frequency, right? So, and that's what came through. It was like the trap is the lower frequency. If energy cannot be destroyed, it infinitely expands. We infinitely grow. The simulation isn't something to escape or ascend out of. So basically, we're projecting what we want the simulation to be. So obviously, we want to be projecting something that's of a higher frequency so we actually enjoy it. So if it is a co-creative playground that we utilize to infinitely expand. We come and attempt to awaken others to truth so they don't get stuck in the trap of lower frequencies. If we raise the collective frequency, it won't matter that our memories are wiped at incarnation because we'll be born into a reality that already embodies truth. So that's what the whole point of all of us, like a lot of us that came back, we did not have to reincarnate. We did not have to come and learn lessons because we already kind of, it's like they say you're ascending because you ascend out of the lower frequencies, but you're not ascending out of the simulation because the simulation is your projection. Like you'll just project it in a different dimension, right? It was like all these like realizations I was having and questions I was having answered for me. So yeah, the trap is the lower frequencies. That's the trap. That's what you're trying to ascend out of, the lower frequencies. It's not that you're trying to, where are you going? We're in a simulation, we're projecting it. So anyways, that was all from yesterday. And what I got today, oh wait, no, there's one more little part from yesterday. Our ways of being tell us truth as soon as we come here. Once we know the truth, we can always access it. The truth understands frequency. It gifts us with the eyes to see. The truth points us inside of ourselves. So if you're born into a culture, into a space where people already know the truth, they give you the truth. Therefore, you can access anything within yourself because they gave you the tools to do so. That's like Native American cultures. They have all these, they have like tried to maintain their culture over time and their spirituality over time. So when they have children and they can pass this down and they won't have to wonder what it all means because they already have the truth and they know how to access that within themselves. So if that's what the whole point of creating New Earth is, the whole point is so we can bring in this frequency and anchor it in. So when these people who keep cycling back, you know, want to come back into an energetic space, they'll be able to do that with, you know, oral tradition, culture, like that being, the truth being common knowledge. The truth is not common knowledge. The truth is like, why they burned, you know, witches at the stake and all that or they kept secret societies where you had to be like you had to go through some initiation process to even have access to that kind of knowledge. And so, yeah, there was just all this stuff coming through. And this morning it was like other things that were coming through somewhat related to that, but it was like like a lot of people right now are arguing for their own limitations. Like change is so uncomfortable. Recognizing where growth can be had, or recognizing where you're projecting and just blaming it on everyone else and being a victim. It's like you're arguing for your own limitations. You like saying, I want this cycle because it feels safe, but it doesn't feel good necessarily. Like, safe is just like what the ego does. Like, that's why we have the ego. That's why like if we see a bear charging out of the woods at us, like we go into survival mode. We need that for safety. But then it went to a whole new level when we started incarnating into these spaces and forgetting who we really are and being traumatized and not knowing the truth. The truth keeps you in fear. The truth keeps you in these loops and these cycles. So all you're doing is ascending out of lower frequencies. And it's like the dimensions are all here. And that's something that David Icke was talking about in that interview. It was like, you don't have to like get in a spaceship and fly somewhere. Like it's a frequency. Tune in, you know. If you want to have an experience, it's about matching that frequency. So anyways, you don't have to loop and reincarnate. It's your choices and own illusions. Everything is within you. So all the lessons should give you the epiphanies that you need in order to like integrate it into your life. So you learn the lesson, you take that lesson, you actually learn from it, you change things that you do in your life, and then it's like that. It's like you feel it happening. If you've been on this journey for a while, it's like you learn the lesson, you integrate it, you let go of shit, you go through all the release and let go of the attachment and stuff, and then you level up. Like if you're in a twin flame dynamic, you understand that. You go through these cycles and then you level up and then you level up. And I think that's what a lot of times, once you start seeing those patterns, it makes it a little bit easier to understand the process. So you learn, you have a little bit, you ground in a little more truth. You ground in a little more truth every time. And the more you ground it in, the easier it is to get through the stuff. It doesn't mean the stuff isn't gonna suck. Like when the cycles come up, the things that we have to clear come up, it is, but you have a different perspective on it. So even though you gotta feel that stuff, you're not gonna identify it as you. You're like, dang, this is just something that has been attached to me, this energy that has been attached to me for a long time that I haven't made any changes in order to release it and stop saying it's me, because it's not. And I put that's why most people are walking around being reactive and projecting, which we already know. And we're everybody, me, you, everybody. There is no end to the work. There is no end to it, especially in this physical reality, this simulation that we're projecting. It's just we decide what we want to project. I feel like, you know, as soon as I really started vibrating in this higher frequency and letting go a lot of the lower vibrational aspects of the simulation, the matrix, that's when everything changed, you know? There was something I was going to add to it. I already lost it. But anyways, that's why being the observer is emphasized in ancient teachings. Because it's, you're not projecting. You're not being reactive. You're just observing. And this is it. That's what presence is. You notice everything. And then instead of projecting, you accept, you understand, and you empathize. You walk in integrity. So we get tested. We absolutely get tested, because you can't release something till you can face it and observe it and not react or project or anything like that. And own your own shit and take accountability and walk in integrity. Actually take like other people's, how they feel, into consideration, being considerate and empathetic. That's really difficult for people, because our culture is like every man for himself, and service to others is not that. Service to others doesn't mean you have to go, it doesn't have to look a certain way. It's going to look different for everybody. But at the end of the day, it comes down to considering others. And even if you think like somebody, you know, said something to you, so you want to project something back onto them, when you step into that space, being present and being the observer, and you empathize and you understand and you notice every little detail, every perspective of that situation, you won't even want to project. You won't even take it personally because you understand what it is. You recognize it. You notice more. And when you notice something, it's easier to be the observer. It's easier not to go into victim mode, not to blame, because you understand the simulation. You understand what this all is and why you're here. So yeah, there was just so much coming through and still coming through right now, but I just had to like get this portion of it out because I'm processing it all myself. I feel really good today. I feel really good. I feel bad. Lance is kind of going through with anxiety, and usually that's the opposite. I'm the one that's a little bit anxious. But I've been like coming past that because I'm not gonna, it's just like the label of being an empath. It doesn't give us an excuse. The fact that we're sensitive, we're all going to become more sensitive. The more you raise your vibration, you're going to become empathetic and you're going to feel shit. And how can you sort through that and not take anything personally and not, then like really shield yourself in a sense that you're setting this intention, this conscious intention that things can't touch you because you're going to step into that observer space. Whenever those feelings, any type of low vibrational feelings come up, you recognize it and you set that intention like, that's something I should do. It's just coming to my mind right now. Every morning, just set that intention that I'm not going to give my power away to anything or anyone, because at the end of the day, if I go within and I'm present, it really makes no sense. It's it's for what? For what? Because somebody's on their journey and they're working through something and I happen to be in their presence, so I feel that. Like it's really this mastery, and we will continuously be tested, even though it's not really a test. But if you want to ascend and raise your vibration, you can't hold on to lower frequencies and then expect to just get a higher frequency because you went to, some spiritual guru. It had nothing to do with them. It has to do with you. They might give you some great little nuggets, but if you can't integrate that into your life, it doesn't mean shit. And a lot of times it's hard. Sometimes, it's hard for people to listen to my content because I'm not gonna go all spiritual bypass mode. This is about taking accountability. This is about taking responsibility for your own frequency. And that's how you help the collective. Because if your own frequency is low and you're just blaming it on somebody else or your environment, you're not helping anybody. I've always been a kind of a tough love kind of girl, but that is, what is her name? I listened to somebody, couldn't tell you what her name is right now, but she was kind of talking like how, you think about the ancients and the gurus and how hard they are on their initiates. Because it's not like, mastery is not some walk in the park and just trying to think positive. Like, you still have to recognize the stuff and feel it and release it. And yeah, that's beautiful. You can create this beautiful environment, but at the end of the day, if you don't integrate all of these lessons and these epiphanies and these things that come to you, you're going to repeat the cycle until you do. And what we're really ascending out of is lower frequencies. We're not ascending at like anywhere physical. We're just changing how we perceive the simulation. We get to choose that. And a lot of us already chose that and already ascended out of the lower frequencies, and then we took the risk to come back here and help others do the same so we could anchor in a culture that tells the truth when you first get here. So that got real fucked up back then, back in the day. And now we all know, because we were born into this culture in a lower frequency. We literally were probably in the womb of our mothers that was a lower frequency. I know I was. My mom was an alcoholic, drug addict, and a stripper. And that's what body and frequency I was born into. And I had to work through that shit. I got to work through it for my family, the DNA, the lineage, until the DNA says something different. So we change that through our frequency. That's why taking accountability is so important, because that's where it's at. That's where the work is. Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody's like, oh, but they're so worried about things like who they're in a relationship with and all this other stuff. Like, until you fix what's going on with you, inside with you, and you learn how to anchor in a higher frequency, why are you even, don't even interact. Don't even be in a relationship. What's the point? But it's so funny. What's the word? The paradox of it all is that relationships are what help us grow the most. Because if we're not seeing our own shit via how we project onto others, then how do we know it exists? If we just lock ourselves up in a cave and we don't ever interact with others. That's probably why I have 4 kids and I'm, Sun, Moon, Libra. I'm a relationship person. I'm usually in a long-term relationship. That's always been the vibe. But why? Because if not, I'd probably hide away. Like, it's crazy. When I was a kid, my dad and brother used to always be like, all you do is lock yourself in your room. I never had like friends or anything like that. I had people, like I was on the basketball team. So like I'd make jokes with people in the locker room and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I would just not socialize. Ever since I was a little girl, I was very isolating. But then as I got older, I had kids and I was in relationships, and those were my lessons. But now, like in hindsight, I know I needed those. But at the same time, it's like, dang, I wish I could have got myself right first. So I didn't project on all those people. Because you start to feel like, damn, like I didn't want to, you get all these feelings that come up, and then you have to deal with those. And it's okay. It's okay. Because all those things help me get to where I needed to be, to remember, and that's okay. So it's an interesting journey that we're on, and all we can do is, be present and do our best in any given moment. And our best is just being the observer. You don't have to say anything or do anything. You can just sit there and observe. And then once you get to that centered space in alignment with source, then act, then speak, But we need that, just like I was saying in the beginning of the video, we need that time alone. We need that introspection, but as well as a balance with interacting with the external world, because that is what we need to assist us in order to expand. So we needed a bunch of light workers to come here and show the way, because it was just going to spiral into lower frequencies if we didn't. So somebody had to take the risk. And what is that? The ultimate act of service to others. Because you're empathizing so much with them, you don't want them to suffer. And they've been stuck in the loop of lower frequencies for eons, forever, for the longest. Not forever, but the longest. And that's why this time is so exciting. Because it's like, whoa, like it's like that. It's just like a crazy movie to watch or something. And we're creating the simulation, and nothing's set in stone. There's so many prophecies and they have a good idea, but at the end of the day, it's malleable. It's all malleable based on us. So that's why we got to focus on taking accountability and walking with integrity, because that's what it's about. If you don't want to go somewhere with somebody, you don't want to, you're not feeling someone, don't ghost them. That's not of integrity. Let's just throw a few examples out there. Consider how the other person feels. Are we really observing the situation and perceiving it from as many aspects as we can? Because if we were, we wouldn't just be in victim mode saying, well, I'm going to ghost them so they know that I'm upset. Why don't you just communicate and be forward and act with integrity and say, look, this is how I felt, in a calm way. See, it's so much self-control. It's ridiculous. Mastery is so much self-control. Somebody hurt you and then you have to sit and observe, no knee-jerk reactions. Look at the situation from their perspective and yours. Understand that you have a choice to be there. And if your choice is to leave, then leave. But don't pretend to leave because you want this person to see something. If you want this person to see something, then express that. Be forward in a respectful way and see what happens. Like, things worked a little differently when we stopped playing games with each other. And that's why relationships are such a great tool that we use here. So just running away And always being alone is also not the answer. Yes, we go within, but then what are we going to do with that? So, but yeah, I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing Wednesday. I swear it's Tuesday, but apparently my calendar says Wednesday. I think I lost a whole day of time. I do not know what happened. I mean, time's been fucky anyways, but I literally am lost today in terms of time, because like a whole day went. Yesterday was for sure Monday. Anyways, yeah, I just want to share all these things that I have stirring up in me right now with all of you, and anything that you want to share below in the comments, please do, that you're going through, please do, because it just like just like my friend sending me that that interview with David Icke, it was like spirit co-creating through her to spark something in me, epiphanies, and then whoosh, all this stuff comes up. So like when you guys interact with each other or with me, it's so co-creative, it's so spirit, you know. And I really appreciate your support and your kind words. I almost never get negativity on my channel. I think if people don't resonate, they just don't watch my videos anymore. But it's like very rare that I get anything negative. And I don't believe in jinx or anything like that. I ain't gonna knock on no wood. It's just because the energy I bring forward is not in alignment with that anyways, you know. My heart like isn't there. Even if I got projected on, like I'm not gonna take it personal. I'm gonna look at it from all perspectives, you know. And it's with anything. So you guys have a great day, and I love ya.